Good afternoon, Austin.
Hey, Dad. How are you?
I'm doing good, buddy. We have a unique pair with us today, Austin. Our journey is going to take us inside the virtual world of esports and inside the heart and headsets of a unique father-son team, Coach Snap and Coach Clef. This is a story of a proud dad, a childhood fantasy becoming a virtual reality, and a Madden champion. My name is Ken Karcher, and I'll be your host today. And alongside me is my son, Austin Karcher. And we'd like to welcome today Team Wood as our guest to Awaken Kingdom Culture, where hearts and minds come alive, one story at a time. Welcome, Snap. Welcome, Clef.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. We're glad you guys are here. It's I think back to earlier in the month, Snap, back in January when I was visiting down at Warner with you all, and you and I were sitting in that room together and talking about the past season and just, how do you as a coach create value in your players, coaching staff, being the coordinator. And what really hit me, and I said it to you face to face that day, I said, man, I sensed a real sweet spirit in your heart. And then you talked about the importance of family, which we'll get into. And then you mentioned about a 3-hour drive you were making to Warner to get there. And I thought, wow, what commitment. And then we laughed and I said, what a great personality. And you had this contagious smile. If you remember, I said to you, your big old smile. And then you started telling us about, all of your kids, but you talked about Clef and what he was doing. And I said, my spirit stopped right there. I said, would you mind being on our podcast? Because this is going to be one heck of a story. So we appreciate you joining us today. And we're going to go, and start with the Wood home. But I got to ask you this first. Snap, how'd you get your nickname? And Clef, how did you get yours?
Okay, I can kind of tell you both stories because I gave him his nickname. And my grandmother gave me my nickname. So my grandmother named me after a soap opera character named Snapper on The Young and the Restless.
Okay.
And it's literally been my whole life. Like I got this nickname at birth pretty much. And so it's people that don't know me as Dwayne Wood, because I've always been, it was Snapper Wood. I was always Snapper Wood when I was young. And I just got to a certain age where I was like, Snapper sounds kind of corny. Let me shorten it. So I took it and made it Snap. And so I've been, that's what I've been my entire life. Yeah. As far as Clef goes, when he was born, pretty much the same thing. He had this little indentation right here on his chin, so we always made a joke that he had a cleft chin. And so we just started calling him Clef. So he pretty much has had that name his entire life.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
So tell us a little bit about Clef. Tell us about where you grew up, and tell us about your family dynamics, and describe your relationship you had with those in your family.
I grew up in Oak Hill, Florida, and Edgewater, Florida, kind of between the two. And I'm the oldest out of 6.
Oh, wow.
6, something like that. I don't know. I lose count myself. So, so I don't know. I just the way the relationship I always had was I felt like I had to be a good influence and kind of set the standard of what it was like to be a Wood and be a son of my dad's. It just was a lot of, and he always pushed us to be great as well. So I just felt like that type of influence on me, it just helped all of us out.
Dwayne, how about you? What was your growing up years like? Where'd you grow up in your home?
Same place, Oak Hill, Florida. My mom had me at 17. She went off to college. She went off to Florida to FAMU. So I spent a lot of my childhood with my grandparents. I always say my grandparents my mom is my biggest fan. My grandparents are probably my biggest influence. My grandmother, nurturing, loving. She was the cafeteria manager at my elementary school. So, if I did something wrong in school, hey, my grandmother was right in the cafeteria. My grandfather was a hard-working man, owned a business, was a police officer. My grandfather worked harder and more than anybody I ever saw. in my life. I think I got a lot from him. And his thing was, you ain't laying in bed all day. You're gonna get up and be productive. And so he kind of instilled that. I didn't like it. I didn't like it a lot of times, but he instilled that you're gonna get up and be productive today. Had to go to work with him a lot. He built a lot of houses around here. So yeah, it was carrying blocks and doing masonry work, and it was tough for a kid to do and have to do those kind of things. But I think it molded me into just working hard.
Clef, did you get to know your grandparents much?
I did. Yeah, we spent a good amount of time together. I used to be kind of at their house for some summers. I spent a lot of time there, so yeah, I got to know them a lot.
So did you see the same things that your dad just shared? Did you experience them too as the grandson, or were they a little bit easier on the grandson?
Oh no, I didn't go through the carrying blocks and stuff like that. I didn't go through that type of stuff. I used to be on the site because my dad would take us with him to work during the summertime, so we would be there, but we wasn't active, we wasn't around.
So go ahead, Dad.
No, I was just going to, so growing up, as you look back, both of you can answer this. As you look back, how did growing up in your home influence who you are today?
I think, well, growing up with your grandparents, my grandmother gonna make you go to church every day. Spend a lot of time in church. It was good. It was, like I said, you're gonna work hard. You're gonna get up early. You're not gonna lay in bed. You're gonna do chores. My grandfather, he passed away some years ago. My grandmother's still alive. She's 96. Just celebrated her birthday.
Wow.
But my grandfather's just the hardest working person that I've ever been with. He's one of those guys that he didn't tell you that he loved you a lot, but you knew he loved you. He was gonna be hard on you because that's just what he knew. So he was gonna be hard and demanding on you. It wasn't until late in his life where he would actually like tell you he loved you and say he was proud of you. But before that time, it was just, hey, he gonna be that person that he's gonna call you out when you're not doing things right. He gonna call you lazy when you're being lazy. He was just an honest man.
How about you, Clef? How did growing up with your dad and his home in the home affect who you've become today?
I think honestly, it pushed me to be like super, super competitive. I think that's the one thing. It made me just so competitive, just having all those brothers and my dad. My dad and me, we're not close in age. He way, way older than me. He old, but we did a lot of things together. We competed in a lot of things in my life, whether it was like video games, and then it got to a point where basketball, football, baseball, like it made me ultra, ultra competitive. Like it's hard for a lot of people to like resonate with like just a competitive drive. So I think that's like that influence on me is like what stands out the most, like how competitive he is, and then how that kind of rubbed off on me and just made me like a maniac for competition.
I was young enough. I had him at 21. So I was, if you ask me what's the most life-changing thing that happened in my life, is that having a kid at 21 changed my life. I was young enough and I keep myself in good enough shape where like we would play competitive one-on-one basketball games together for a long time. I won't play them now though.
So for each one of you, and whoever answers first, it doesn't matter, but what was maybe one or a few of your favorite childhood memories?
Oh, that's tough. You want to answer first? I got to think about it.
Yeah. Now, if I'm talking about my childhood, it's probably I got a lot. Probably, one of the biggest things I enjoyed, I would go. So again, my mom was in college. So here I am, this little 3-4-year-old boy running around a HBCU going to step shows. So I remember that stuff at 3-4 years old. So that was big in terms of my childhood. In terms of Clef, man, just watching him, he did stuff as a kid that he at like 8-9 years old, he could beat my friends in Madden. That would be something I would do because they couldn't beat me. So I would be like, you can't beat my son. They'd be like, man, we can beat your son. He's only 8-9 years old. And then he would kill him. That was a big childhood memory. He played a basketball game one time. He had a flu game in a rec league basketball game. He can tell you about that. He had the flu all day, didn't go to school. This is how competitive we were. And but we had a rec league game that night. I was his coach, and we go to the game, and he dropped like 40.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had a Jordan-like flu game.
Oh, awesome. What about you,
Yeah.
Clef?
I would say it would have to be a split between the first time with basketball we made like states and we went to Disney World when I want to say 9 years old.
Yeah.
And we end up coming in second place. But even getting to Disney, like saying we're going to Disney for basketball, and that whole experience was like just a something I'll never forget. And then football wise, I think the first year we went to the Citrus Bowl, and just like we were only like a game away from state. It was just like, I don't know, just so much joy and happiness to get to those points. And sports was my childhood was like really all sports. Like my dad had me in football, basketball, baseball year round. So most of my stuff is just strictly sports. There was no time to be like just idle time, which is, I loved it though. I absolutely loved it.
That's awesome. That sounds a lot like our home, Austin, and mine growing up as well. Sports. I was going to ask you, what role did football play in growing up in your home? But it sounds like it was a pretty big deal. How did football become such a big deal to you, Snap, growing up in your home?
I grew up playing football in the yard with people. I always play with older people. All my cousins are older than me, and so it's just something I did from like as young as I can remember. We would play sandlot, and my mom is a big Cowboys fan. I'm a Cowboys fan to this day. My mom was a Cowboys fan, so my early memories are like Tony Dorsett and Roger Staubach. So I mean, football just kind of cultivated that whole thing to where it's just always been a part of life.
That's right. You have Cowboy memories too.
I love it. Snap, I'll tell you a funny story. Tony Dorsett's from Pittsburgh, same place I'm from. And I used to watch Tony Dorsett at Pitt when I was in about 8th and 9th grade. And then late in his career, I don't know if you remember, he got traded from the Cowboys to the Broncos. Yeah. And I was handing the ball off to him. And I used to always tease him. I'd say, hey, Dorsett, I said, I used to watch you when I was in diapers. And now I hear him handing the ball off to you.
My first pair of cleats, a pair of Tony Dorsett Converse. Played baseball in them, played everything in them.
That's beautiful. Yeah, who inspired and influenced your love and passion for sports the most?
Talking about me, myself?
Yeah.
Probably my grandfather. My grandfather, he was baseball. My grandfather, a big baseball guy, and that was kind of what I did from like 5 years old. Baseball was like my main sport. I was really, really good at it. And so that was like my main. But again, I always played football in the yard. My grandmother, I was a small kid, so my grandmother kind of didn't want me to play football. So it took some time to, kind of convince her that hey, I can play football. I play in the yard with older people all the time. But I say my grandfather. My grandfather loved the Yankees. He loved the Cowboys as well. And so he kind of brought that out of me too.
What position did you play in baseball?
Man, I played everywhere. I was a middle infielder, center fielder because I could run. I was a left-hander, so but I could get to a lot of balls, so they kept me in the middle. So I usually played second base, shortstop, or center, and I pitched.
So, Clef, here's the big question: who's the best athlete in the family?
I think it's me. I think I'm the most well-rounded. That's my opinion, though. I think I just was the most well-rounded.
Did you play all sports?
I played all sports, yes, sir. Baseball, basketball, football.
Was football your favorite?
Honestly, it would go back and forth At one point, I didn't want to play football anymore. Once I reached 9th grade, I was like, you know what? I think I just want to focus on baseball and basketball. So I would bounce between all the sports. I would say football and basketball is probably my favorite.
Okay.
But it would flip flop.
Clef, when was the first time you remember picking up the video game controller?
Ooh, I want to say this. Maybe it was a Sega. Was it a Sega? That'd be in 2000, 2001.
Yeah, he was young. He would pick up he doesn't remember. Like my friends could tell you, literally, because that's what we did. We played the game. I had to buy him a controller that didn't work. And so while I'm playing with my friends, he would sit in my lap with a fake controller. And this is like 2, 3 years old. Like he's been doing this he's been holding a video game controller for as long as he's been on Earth.
Oh. Snap, what role did faith play in your home growing up, and who were some of your role models in the faith?
It was big. My grandfather. I mean, you could hear my grandfather praying at night. And so, like I said, you're dealing with old people from Georgia. My old Oconee, Georgia.
Yes.
So you can hear my grandfather praying at night. He was a deacon in the church. He led devotion in the morning at the church on Sundays. My grandmother was a missionary. She was big, and so they were big in the church. So it was just a part of it was a part of my childhood. We spent a lot of time in there.
Clef, what role did your dad play in inspiring and influencing your faith?
Just I would say just about just how positive he is. He always just was like always had like an upbeat energy to him. You know what I'm saying? He never let anything have him so down. Like he had a bigger faith. So I think just seeing that and especially with the way my grandparents was too. All of our family is in the church, so it just it was real inspirational to me.
Do you guys have snap between you and maybe your grandpa, or Clef, you and your dad? Do you have a memorable conversation or moment between father son growing up?
Clef was probably when my grandfather passed away. He was in his teens, so he's kind of young. He's probably 14, maybe a little bit older, maybe. But man, remember conversations with my grandfather. I got some conversations with my grandfather that I probably can't say on the air. That's probably my most memorable because, like I said, he was brutally honest with you. But you just knew he loved you, and I knew, especially when I started coaching, I knew he was proud of me. He would he came to our football games. I was coaching at high school. Clef was playing there. My other sons played there, and my grandfather would come. He came to football games until his last days. So I knew he was proud of me. But yeah, I can't repeat a lot of the conversation on air because he was brutally honest.
Clef, how about you? Do you have a memorable conversation or moment with your dad?
Ooh, that's I don't know. That's tough. There's so many. He coached me for so long, so it's so many. I'm trying to think of the one that stood out the most.
Maybe there's one that you're driving home after practice that he had some conversation with you. Or?
Oh, yeah, those wasn't usually good conversations. I'll tell you that. If we were talking about practice, it wasn't usually a good one.
Probably the most memorable is the one that stick out for me is the one we had before the Madden Bowl. Probably we just talked about doing the right when you do the right things and you kind of put everything in its place and put God first, that things kind of open up for you. So I would say that stick out for me because he won the Madden Bowl after that.
Yeah, that probably is the number one. That's probably the number one.
Awesome.
Yeah, I never forget that.
So tell us about y'all's high school experience and tell us maybe, some of the positions you played and maybe famous or favorable memories you had.
In high school, I played running back, slot, tight end, linebacker, some corner. I would say my favorite memory that I have is my junior year. We went 9-0, and that was like the first time our high school went undefeated since like 1940 or something crazy. It was like a long time, and we ended up winning district, and we beat a team in overtime. Did we beat them in overtime? Oh, we beat Mainland.
Yeah.
Was that overtime? I don't think that was overtime. Was it?
We beat D-Land in overtime.
Well, we beat D-Land in overtime, so we had a lot of memorable wins, and it's just to see how like the whole area was like behind us. That's like my most favorite memory.
What about you, Snap?
I played basketball, baseball, ran track. Well, basketball, football, ran track. I was hard hitting in school, man. So that's my memory of just, like I said, fatherhood kind of changed my life. One of the things about working construction, you're around a lot of people that can tell you some stupid stuff. And so And so I would say, when me in high school, I wasn't always doing the right things or thinking the right things. Um, and so it would, sometimes it would even take me out of sports. And so, I mean, I had games where I would, I had like a 24-point game in basketball, but um, when I look at my high school experience, man, I look back at that guy. It was an immature guy. It really took guys who coached me, great guys who influenced me. When I came back and started coaching, they would look at me like I was crazy, because they remember a guy that wasn't, I was, you talk about competitive, like, and it wouldn't always be the right way, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I think I made a transition in my life that kind of changed me for the better. So, high school me, immature, um, thought I knew everything and didn't. So I didn't always handle things the right way.
Clef, when you look back at your dad coaching you, how would you describe what that experience was like? And then Snap, how was it coaching your son?
It was rough. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard. Like, cause you know, everybody gonna assume that you only doing X, Y, and Z because your dad the coach. So I dealt with that my whole life. Like, oh yeah, he not good. His dad just the coach. And then on the other end, it's like I got it harder than everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no daddy ball at all. Like he made sure like you got to be I'm out here coaching. You got to be an example of what this is supposed to look like. So like my standard was it was just different, but it made me so much better. Being a my dad was coaching, like my knowledge of the game, how much I watched film, just how much of a student of the game I became because he was coaching. So just seeing all that, it truly made me better in every which way. I always had to feel like I had to be better than what I was because like how much I would get judged, by being his son.
Yeah, I think one of the things I always prided myself on, first I'm going to treat everybody like my son, I'm going to let people coach my son, even though I'm on the staff. I was the head coach of the youth team that he was on for years. But you can anybody, you can coach him. So I had some guys that really coached him hard. Shout out to Jack Holcomb and Jack Walker that really coached him hard, and I wasn't like, hey, man, you can't talk to my son like that. Like, coach him hard. You know what I mean? And so he wasn't given no advantages from it. And I mean, Clef is one of the most instinctual people that you'll ever be around when it comes to like athletic things. He's very instinctual, very intelligent. And so he would just go out there and make plays. But, we would be in the moment. When you're a coach, you're just in the moment. And, so when you decompress, you can think about what's going on. But on the field, you're just locked in.
Thank you. Well, let's transition from high school to college. Tell us a little bit about your college experience, Snap, and then Clef as well.
Yeah, again, I have a lot of college experience. I had an offer to play basketball. I had an offer to play football. I had a little time where I was at BCU, but it didn't really stick. And so I didn't really stick. Like I said, fatherhood is what changed me. That's the moment in my life where things changed. Before then, I was just kind of living, hanging out, just enjoying life. Really, really not having much of a direction. Really not. Again, my grandfather taught me how to work, and he instilled stuff, but he wasn't the person that was going to sit down and say, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z. He was more like set it by example. And I just got to a point where I thought I knew everything. And so I kind of failed. I went to work, and then I had a son, and then I had to make some changes in my life and start doing things for the better. So that's the triggering moment in my life. I kind of flamed out in school.
You mentioned it a few times already, Snap, and we'll get to let Clef answer the college question as well. But so what was it that really, I guess, impacted your heart when you had your first child?
Just from the moment I saw him, from the moment you see somebody that you created that, I didn't have a great relationship with my father, my biological father. And so it was just something, I carried that. I did carry that. That was something I carried in childhood. Like I did have anger problems as a kid. I would get in fights. And so seeing somebody that you're responsible for, that looks like you, it just triggered something in me that, hey, this guy's never going to feel any of the stuff I feel. I'm going to try to give him the best of me.
Hmm. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, Clef, tell us about your college experience.
Yeah, so I went to junior college in Fullerton, California. Played football out there for 2 years. We won a national championship, junior college national championship, I believe in 2016. So I played on a really good team. I had a lot of fun. It was my first time being away from home, so that was rough. Like going from a country Florida boy, pretty much, to going and being in Orange County, California. Being near LA and being in. It was just night and day difference. But it made me grow up a lot. Like I think I grew up a lot and became way more independent out there in Cali. It was really good for me just to get away and, figure out a lot about myself and learn who I am and what I am. And, so I had a good years in California. And then I went to Benedictine in Kansas. I was there for a semester. I broke my scapula out there in football. Mm. And then, so that college for me ended bittersweet. It's like no ending to it. And, that's the way like my college career ended, and then after that, Madden picked up. So, so here I am today.
So Snap and Clef, but Snap, how'd you get your start in coaching? You end up going to coaching. How'd you get your start? And tell us a little bit about your coaching journey.
So I have a very unconventional journey to where I've gotten, and it's why honestly, I literally thank God, especially before games. I thank him for like. I'm not supposed to be where I am given the route that I took. Okay, so my college coaching journey started with Clef. I was signing him up to play youth football. I've always been an instinctual athlete as well. I could just play off instincts and do stuff. And so I was signing him up to play football, just play Pop Warner football. He's 6 years old, signed him up to play Pop Warner football. And the coach asked me, hey, man, you want to coach? Coach that coached me in Pop Warner. He was like, hey, man, come out here and coach football. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And so he ends up, I'm just going to be a position coach on this Pop Warner team, right? And so he ended up making me like the defensive coordinator. So I'm the defense coordinator for this youth team, and I only know how to do stuff one way. So we're running stunts and twists and games with the linebackers. Like we started doing stuff that like youth teams wasn't doing, and we were like a dominant defense. And so, yeah, a few years later, the guy that got me into it, he kind of had a medical issue where he couldn't do it anymore. I kind of transitioned to calling offensive plays. Same thing. We just kind of was doing unconventional stuff with 8-year-olds. We're out the gun. We're running gun formations and throwing the ball around at 8, 9 years old that people weren't doing. And so we were winning games. And then like the next year I became like a head coach of the team. And once I became a head coach of the team, like everything just kind of took off. We were winning a lot of games. Like we dominated the area. We dominated Central Florida. And so getting them through got me to the high school, because the guy, people recognized what we were doing. We were doing stuff that wasn't done in this area. And so then the high school coach, they hired a new coach, and literally the first person he hired was me. And he brought me onto the staff, and yeah, everything kind of took off from there.
And tell everyone where you are now, Snap, and what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm at Warner University. So that was, you're talking about 2001 maybe. I started coaching. Ended up in the high school at like 2009, 10ish. Like 4 years later, became the offensive coordinator there, and just been blessed, been successful. Helped guys get to all levels of college, the NFL. Won a lot of games, scored a lot of points, and it's kind of fueled me to get where I am. I'm truly blessed because not the conventional way to get here.
Snap, we all would say this or have to answer this. I call people along the way. Was there any one person that was really influential in your coaching journey to this point?
Yeah, I would say probably Lance Jenkins. Still a friend of mine to this day. Lance was a guy that he came to us. He coached with he coached on he was like a GA on the Notre Dame teams with Lou Holtz and Rocket Ishmael and those guys. And then he transitioned to Florida where he coached on the Ron Zook. And so he got me into high school coaching. He kind of gave me a foundation of, really real fundamentals of the game. We were wing T. So it's a real basic form of football, a fundamental form of football. And I would say my getting with him and getting that foundation kind of fueled to where I am now, because I could take that foundation he gave me and add my creativity to it in my mind and make it what it is today.
Mm. Thanks.
Clef, so you said after college you got into esports. How did that happen?
Oh man, so when I was out of college, I was playing against other Madden. They were like the pros at the time, and well, to even go back before that, in like Madden '09, when I was 13 or 12 or 13, I had went to the big one of the biggest tournaments of the year, and we had drove to Philadelphia from Florida, and I ended up placing in the final four of that. So that's back when I was like 12, 13 years old, and I had been good at Madden my whole life. Like I had been, people would never play me. Like when I go to my friend's house, they're like, "No, we're not playing you. You know, everybody else can play you. We're not playing you." So I had always been good at Madden like that my whole life. And then once I got out of school, I was back kind of home just rehabbing, you know, and then I would just play games. And I was beating other guys who were pros at the time. And I was seeing the money they were making. I'm like, hold on, and at that time I had started coaching too. I was coaching high school.
Okay.
And I was kind of doing half and half. And I ended up making a tournament in Madden 19. I ended up making like $20,000 in that tournament. And then I was like, you know what? I probably can do this full time. You know, so then, and the next year I had stopped coaching. I'm like, I got to kind of focus on this. And then I've been full time ever since.
Wow. So
That's amazing.
What made, I mean, you know, someone who is only, I played Madden, but not to your degree. What makes you so good at it? What do you think would you say your skills are?
I think it's real similar to like football to me, as far as like what made me good in football. I think just instincts, like picking up on somebody's tendencies. Like I can take a lot of stuff from my football background and add it there. Now Madden, it's not the same, especially X's and O's. It doesn't make sense like the way regular football makes sense. But my ability to like key in on somebody's tendencies, know what's coming, just knowing route combos, like okay, if it's a hitch, okay, maybe it's a corner out behind it, things like that other gamers, they don't really have that. Like I have a lot of that stuff, so I think that just helps me and where I can be good at Madden for really as long as I want to be good at it, as long as I put in the work.
Awesome.
Snap, in this profession, you know, that we're always asked, what's our why? How would you describe to our listeners, what is your coaching philosophy, or in other words, your why, and then your leadership style, your how you go about that, and the role of faith in your coaching career?
Yeah, I think my coaching philosophy and leadership style kind of go hand in hand. It's building relationships first. I think I'm going to build relationships with my players first, so that I can get more out of them. I think I'm going to build relationships with my coaches first, so that we can get on the same page. So that's probably the biggest thing is just, you know, being relationship first, being a real person, not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm going to give people the authentic me, which is fortunate for me. I'm a person that's going to be the same person every day. And so I don't change and flip up on people. And so once I show you the real me, you know, that's who you're going to get every day. So I think that's the foundation of, you know, pretty much everything I do.
Mm. Thank you.
Clef, what are, you know, you started to say some of this. What are the similarities and differences between traditional football and virtual?
I would say some of the past concepts are similar, like formation that would give you problems in real life, like especially passing, like man to man. Okay, if somebody come out here and run man to man, you'll see a lot of gun bunch, you know, a lot of mesh routes and stuff like that. You know what beats cover three, what gives cover two problems down the seams, and you know the fades on the outside. And then the things that don't make sense, it's a lot of things that don't make sense. Like sometimes you'll see a double corner route, and it's like, that is like, you got two corner routes going the same way. And it's like things like that I know, like, this makes no sense at all. Or when somebody will run the ball, you know, you'll be in like a 3-4 defense. They might be in shotgun. They might be in like 3-by-1 personnel or something. You know what I'm saying? And they having success running the ball. I got more people in the box. You can't even block all these guys. So it's like little things like that really get under my skin. But yeah, it's funny though. It's funny both ways.
Who's your favorite team to play with?
Ooh, well, for the tournaments, it's Ultimate Team. So you basically, I'll have on the Buck jerseys, but then you have any player you want. Like you might see Michael Vick at quarterback. I think at running back I had Tavon Austin for the last tournament. But regularly with just regular teams, I would say right now I gotta pick the Bucks still. I gotta be loyal.
Okay.
I gotta be.
Now, when you're saying like you get to pick your players, is that how it works? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you get to pick it. So with Ultimate Team, so what the tournaments are on is called Madden Ultimate Team or MUT for short. You basically like
Okay.
they release players and it doesn't. They got legends like Mel Blount, Rod Woodson, Ronnie Lott, Randy Moss, Mike Vick. So you can use all of these players or current players as well.
Okay. And like only like is it like a draft? Like you get in a draft and you pick them, or like you can get whoever you want, and that same player can be on someone else's team as well.
Yeah, so all the players, they cost money basically. So you got to have like coins. So you basically spend real money and then you get like in-game currency. And those players, they cost in-game currency or coins. You know, so anybody can have the players, they cost money. Some cost more than others.
Okay.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, Snap, here you are. Clef comes to you, and I don't know how he did it. Tell us maybe that story, but he says, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to, I think, go become a professional gamer." What was your reaction?
You know, I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. So he played in a tournament early in his life in Philly that he won at like 12 years old. So, I mean, first off, I knew the talent was there. He would beat my friend. He's beat my friends from 8 years old,
Yeah.
9 years old. So I knew the talent was there. You know what happened was COVID happened, and and everybody's at home, and so he's playing on the game online, and then he went out and won the MUT tournament, and I want to say, was it Dallas Clef that I held a plaque for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he went out and won the Dream Hack tournament, and so it kind of just like, man, you can make money at this. Like we all had that moment where you can make some money at this because they started showing Madden on ESPN. There was no sports really going on, so the Madden Championship would come on ESPN, and he started popping up on ESPN. You know, a rocket science, anybody can see that this is probably something that you need to do to go with. And so, you know, when he was like, I want to, we still talk about, because he says his ultimate goal, he wants to get back into coaching. He loves football, but it's like, man, you gotta keep running with this. This is your talent.
Hey, guys, I hope you're enjoying the podcast today. Austin, I would like to thank each of you for taking time out of your week to listen to our podcast, Awaken Kingdom Culture. This past year has been truly amazing. The conversations that Austin and I have been able to share as a father and son, the new relationships that we have made throughout this past year, and the ability to share other people's stories have been life-changing. Each week, I continue to be reminded of the value and impact one story can have. As a listener-supported podcast, I'm grateful for all of you who have partnered with us this past year. If this podcast has spoken to your heart and you'd like to see it continue to awaken other hearts and minds, then I'd like to invite you to become a teammate. If you'd like to partner with Win Awakening, as well as our podcast, you can give at winawakening.org. And please, spread the word about our ministry to all of your friends. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to Awaken Kingdom Culture, Spotify, and YouTube channels. To listen to and watch our podcast weekly, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. If you'd like to follow my socials as well and hear about the upcoming podcast news, watch the latest clips, and get an inside look at my life behind the scenes, then follow Ken Karcher on Facebook and X and KP Karcher on Instagram. I encourage you to subscribe to our mailing list and to partner with us as we continue to awaken hearts and minds one story at a time. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Did the two of you ever talk strategy? And does your, being an on the field coach and a virtual coach, does the strategies help each other?
I try to be more of a he's so good he puts himself in moments that he can fail, right? he constantly puts himself, which is what makes him one of the best. He's always in a championship situation. And so the big thing about what he just won, he would always fail and lose it. So my thing for him has always been more like I've been more supportive. I really don't get on him on his strategy. I know how I am after I lose. Like don't talk to me about strategy after I lose a game. So I don't really talk to him about strategy. I more or less talk to him about his mindset. How are you taking the loss? What can you do to be better from it?
Clef, describe your practice routines and hours spent practicing to be where you are.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. I'm gonna be honest. It's a grind. It's a lot of time in the house. It's not. It's like anything you want to be great at. Like it takes time. Like people look at game and they like, oh my, you get the game for a living. Like and it is a blessing. But this is still work. Like it to get to where I've been able to get to. It's a lot of time, a lot of hours in the house. Like peak Madden season when I'm full go, it's like I'm on the game like at least 8 hours a day.
Wow.
Wow.
Like that's at the minimum. So it's a lot of work to get here, but I love it though. I love it. It is not many things in my life I've been able to be at this level, where I get on and there's a standard of I'm supposed to win every game. If I don't win a game, I suck. That's what people say. So it drives me. It really does.
What is peak Madden season? When is that?
Peak Madden, so like the MCS, it kind of follows. It follows basically the real NFL season. It's
Okay.
from like August to January, February. Is like for me, my season just ended like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So during that window, there's like 7 tournaments, and it's just like, and it's usually on the weekends. It's like we'll do like leaderboards on the weekends, like a Saturday, Sunday, and it's like you'll be playing from like 1 to 8, back-to-back days. So it's a grind. It's a grind throughout the season.
Do you have to travel to these things, or can you do them from your house?
So they start at your house until the final 8, and then for the final 8, they'll fly you out there. And well, for me right now, it's in Orlando. It used to be in San Francisco, where their EA headquarters are, but now they've moved everything to Orlando at a Full Sail University. So now I'm blessed to just take that 45-minute drive. And I love it. I love the fact that they switched. I hated going to San Fran. I hate those 5-6 hour flights.
I told your dad I have some dear friends that are the heads of Full Sail, and they let me tour that EA Sports arena one time. That is so amazing.
It really is.
Clef, is there an age limit that you really can play till, or is it? I mean, what's like the oldest person is playing in EA Sports right now?
I'm up there in age. That's how young it is. They call me Unc and stuff like that. Like they make it like I'm an uncle. So 28, I'm 28, and they make it seem like that's old. Like once you hit this age, you're supposed to be like washed and stuff like that. I think the oldest, there's people in their 40s and competing though, but it's hard to, as you get older, it's kind of hard to do well. It's more things going on in your life. But the youngest you can play is at 16.
Okay.
Wow. Now, Clef, before we get, Austin's going to ask you and Snap about the big moment you had, but I think I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think I read it this way, that there was somewhere as you were getting ready for the big tournament, you had, and maybe it was earlier, you had a spiritual moment is the way I heard it said. What was that spiritual moment, and how has your faith helped you in this arena of esports?
Oh, well, yeah, this was in like I want to say this was in November. Yeah, this was in like November. Like I don't know if it was before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving, but I just came. I went over to my dad's house and I was just talking to him before a tournament, the day of the tournament. I was like, you know what? This just feels different. Like this tournament feels different. Like my mindset it just shifted. It's like I was just at peace. It's like I was more at that time. Like I had became way more focused on kind of letting go and just letting God and just like focusing on doing my part. Let me do my part and let's see how that work out. Let me meet him instead of just doing things. I wouldn't say I was doing things the wrong way all the time, but I wasn't locked in on being the best person I can be, and controlling what I can control. So I just came over there and I had a talk with him and we were just talking about that. And it just like, and then I ended up making the event. Like I made the final 8. This was the tournament I won. And I ended up, we had that talk. And I ended up making the live event for that event, and from that point on, it's just changed my whole entire mind has just shifted.
Tell them how you made the event.
Oh, well, in the game, yeah, I got an onside kick to make it. Then I am getting a 2-point conversion.
Like, yeah, improbable. You never get onside kicks, and he gets an onside kick.
It was like a storybook. Like, it was like a movie, the way everything happened. And it's just like, since then, it's like, okay, I gotta lock in more and do my part. I gotta be a better me, be the best me I possibly can be in every aspect of life. And I think before that, I was real selfish, and I think you have to be a little bit selfish to an extent. But I was way too much into just my world, and not doing everything the right way. But then since after that, it's been a total shift. Just a total shift.
Thanks for sharing that.
So, from both your perspective, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but can you describe just the Madden Championship series, and then what was going through your heart and mind when you finally won it, and then if you could show us your belt here on so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
So let me just say, I am more nervous for these Madden games than I am for anything else. These are the most nerve-wracking experiences for me.
Wow. Look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it was so the Madden Championship Series is basically like anybody can compete in it. It's thousands and thousands of people who sign up every year and compete. And it's been going on for, I want to say, about 9 years now. About 9 years.
Okay.
And this was the Zero Chill tournament, so they have like 7 tournaments a year. This was in December, hence the name, like Zero Chill. And I won the Zero Chill tournament and made $50,000 playing it.
Wow. And I think you made the right choice.
I still miss coaching though. I do still. I that's really my biggest passion. But the moment of just winning it, it was like the most emotional. It's probably the most emotional. It was the most emotional thing I had ever went through in my life. Like we had went through so much together. Everything we did, we came in second place. Like when we got far, we always came in second.
Like literally. Yeah, literally.
Always.
We came in a lot of second places all the way through his childhood. We would get to that's why I say we would always get to these moments and be just short. And so that's why it was such like a supernatural experience for him for me to be there. That's the first tournament I've ever gone to live, because they've always been in California and Vegas and Dallas, and I wasn't traveling with them. They would be during football season. And so that's the first tournament I could go to, and I'm sitting there and I see him do this, and it's just, man, it was just to watch his emotion. If you watch the clip, they have a clip of him at the moment, like he realizes he's winning the game, and I probably watched that clip 1,000 times. You know what I mean? And so to get over the hump, that was really a great experience to see.
That's amazing. Well, let's jump to family and Clef. Let's start with you, since your little guy, I think, is right there next to you. Why don't you tell us about your family and maybe introduce us to him if he wants to say hello.
I think he just ran off. He just scurried off. But that's my son. His name is Dwayne Wood too, as well. And we call him
the third.
Yeah, we call him the 3 because he's the third. My firstborn son, my only born. That's my only child. Fatherhood has been great. It's challenging, but it's been a blessing, to just have him with me all the time and running around with me. And yeah, I mean, I enjoy it.
If there's one thing you would love your son to get from you, what would that be?
Just resiliency. I feel like if he can have my resiliency, he'll be able to whatever, because you're gonna fail. That's part of life. You're gonna have your ups and downs. That's what life is. But how can you respond, to when you get punched and when you get knocked down? I feel like if he can have that, then he'll be all right. And be better than me. I made a lot of dumb mistakes throughout my life. A lot of things that I wish I could take back. So just learn from my mistakes and be a better version.
Snap, tell us about your family. We obviously have met Clef, but tell us about your family.
Yeah, I have 6 sons. Clef's my oldest. Dwayne Wood, the second. My second oldest name is Dalen Wood. He's also a gamer, but he plays Call of Duty. He has the YouTube plaque. He's a successful gamer as well. My third oldest is Davian Wood. Um, he played. They've all played football. That's kind of a house rule. You have to play football. Um, my next oldest is Drayden Wood. He's back here on the poster behind me right here. He's a senior. He'll be coming to Warner to play with me, so that's going to be a great experience. He plays on the
Wonderful.
defense. He's on the defensive side of the ball, so I won't have to deal with him a lot. My next oldest is Dash Wood. Dash is an 8th grader. He's about to go to 9th grade. My youngest is Dante Wood. He's a 7th grader. My wife's name is Jennifer Wood. I would let her introduce herself, but she's at the store grocery shopping at the moment.
So tell us, Snap, how has Jennifer made you a better coach?
She's just supportive. She allows me to, to just pursue this dream. She allowed me to coach. It was one time I was coaching. I was coaching my son's youth team. I was coaching Clef and JV, and I was coaching varsity football. And then I went from coaching Clef and varsity football to coaching JV football to still coaching youth football. So I did that for probably about 8 or 9 years. Coaching was like 7 days a week. And she just kind of has supported me through all that. And even the move to go to Warner, I didn't do it without her blessing. It's something that we talked about and she had to sign off on. So she just supported me in whatever I want to do. I could get a job in Seattle, Washington tomorrow, and she'll be like, go chase your dream. I got your back. So that's the best part about it.
What is Austin has 4 children. I had 4. What's the biggest challenge with 6 children and 6 boys on top of it?
What's the biggest challenge? Groceries.
That's great.
They're all enough apart from each other because they're all like basically 3 years apart from each other. That I don't know. It was our house was. Our house would have it wasn't just our kids. It would be every people's friends over. Our house, it just got quiet. It was a time our house was like everybody would be there. Because like I said, I'm relationship driven. So it's some kids I coach that call me pops. They look at me like a dad, and those guys will be there just as much. And so tough to tell you, we always had people over. Always teammates and friends over. So I feel sorry for my wife for having to deal with that because it would just be a bunch of boys in the house.
Well, let's go to our last segment, and we call this Legacy. Snap, when you look at Clef, what are you most proud of, and who do you see?
Yeah, first of all, I think in terms of a person, I think he's I think the biggest thing I'm proud of him as a person is just his maturation. The going out to California part was like looking back on. I wish I wouldn't have sent him out there, because he kind of was on his own out there. That's a long way. I would see him. We get a bye week. I fly out there and see him for a few days. But man, you talking about some tough moments. I get ready to get on the plane and we're crying. You know what I'm saying? So I probably wouldn't have done that. But just watching him overcome all that and just continue to mature, to realize when he makes mistakes, he has a lot of my personality in the bullheaded part of that I had, and so we had, I would always talk to him about stuff. He ain't always take it. So sometimes I had to step back and let him make a mistake, and then we come back and revisit it. And so just to watch him continue to grow and now he comes to me, hey, I knew what you were saying then. And so that whole maturation process, like he said about his son, you just want your kids to be better than you. I tell my son, I just want you to be good people. I'm not concerned with how much money you make. By all means, I'm proud of you, whatever you do. But at the end of the day, I just want you to be a good person. And so to just see him continue to maturate into that person that's where you can just be, secure in who you are and confident in how you're doing things, and you don't have to look over your shoulder and stuff like that. And just, that's the biggest thing for me. So watching him mature like that, that's the biggest thing. That's more important than winning these Madden tournaments. I'm super proud of him for that. But I'm more proud of him for the person he's becoming and watching him develop each day.
Wow, well said.
Clef, what has been the most significant thing you've learned from watching your dad grow in his faith?
I would just say, what you can do with faith, what you can do with God and trusting God. Because, like he said, like where he is now, he ain't like you could have never told me, seeing him start out coaching that he was gonna be coaching college. It just was like he wasn't the football guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he was more basketball oriented. I knew him more for basketball growing up, like because he still was playing basketball. He still was super athletic. So just seeing, how he lives his life. Okay, I'm going. How he lives his life and just how much he's grown through that. And like I said, it's been crazy to watch him get to where he's getting to now.
Yeah.
It's been a wild, wild journey. Like a wild journey. Sometimes it's like, I can't believe you coaching down at Warner. And he still drive up and down the state.
That's what I couldn't believe.
I can't believe you taking that I-4 drive weekly. Like every other day he's back here. So it's like, but yeah, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the man he is. I'm proud of how he's dealt with everything he's went through, how he's gotten through it, and just like how serious he is about his life and what he does. Like it inspires me. Like he all in football. Like he is a football junkie. He is he's into his craft every day. And and he speak a lot about God, and it's just influenced me. Like, man, God is real. Keep getting closer to God. So it's been a big influence on me transitioning to where I'm at.
This is for both of you to answer. Either one can answer first. But when someone encounters you, what do you want them to experience, and how do you want to be remembered?
I just want to make you smile. I mean, if I can make a person smile, I just want you to feel my spirit in your spirit. I want you, whatever problems you're having, I want you to be at ease. I was dropping some clothes off, and I'm not a saint, but I had experience with a guy. I was dropping some clothes off at the Salvation Army, little drop box that they have, and I'm dropping some clothes and shoes off, and a guy sitting in the car, and he's like, "Hey man, can I have those?" I'm like, "Sure, brother, you can get them," and I take them over there to him, and he's like, "Are you Snap?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm Snap." He's like, you coached at the high school, didn't you? I said, "Yeah," and we just had a short conversation. I don't even know this guy. You know what I mean? And clearly he's going through something, but just that little short interaction for me to make him smile, and I popped a couple of jokes to him, like, if I can just make people smile and just bring their soul at ease for a little bit of time, and that's the best thing you can give somebody to me.
Well said. How about you, Clef?
I'm kind of the same way. I like to joke. Like, I like to play around. I like to have fun and make people smile and entertain. So I would say, just that, and just being remembered as competitive drive as well. I want to be remembered as somebody who never settled with just being mediocre, which is driven by just trying to be the best I can be, just hated losing way more than he loved winning. So I think just all of those things combined, I would just love for that to be my legacy.
Well, last thing we do as we close is we call it final words. And this give you a chance that you can either share a final word between each other, or if there's something on your heart you want to say to our listeners, and then Austin will follow up, and then I'll close.
Yeah, I mean, so one of our rules as a family, like the last thing we say to each other every single time we see each other is "I love you." So I don't think I have to say that to him. He knows it. We said he was over here last night. Hey, he comes in, we're gonna hug, and we're gonna say "I love you." We're gonna hug when you come in. We're gonna hug on your way out, and we're gonna say "I love you." So that's no different. Cliff, I love you, and you know it because that's what we always do as a family. And that's it, man. Just for me to tell everybody, man, just whatever you're going through in life, put your faith in God. Trust His word. Be thankful. I think my biggest thing is just try to be grateful for everything that you get in life. Somebody has it worse, and so when I pray, and I'm praying for my family and everything, like I'm thankful. I really am. I'm thankful for health. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the success they have. And so I'm just thankful about everything that I've gotten in life. And again, I wasn't deserving of this. I didn't set myself up to be this way, but God truly changed me and truly had a plan for me that I didn't even know He had. And so I just found a way to not mess it up, along the way. And then He kind of put things and ordered my steps and got me to these places where I am. So hopefully, through my faith, he'll keep maneuvering me through, and I'll continue to trust him.
Thank you, Snap. How about you, Clef? Final words.
Yeah, I want to say, first of all, love you too, Dad. We say that a lot. And I want to thank y'all for having us on. Had a great time here, great conversation. And then just to anybody watching, just keep going, no matter how hard things are. Put your faith in God, focus on that, and things get better. Just a few months ago, I was at probably the worst mental everything I could be in my life, and then just everything changed in a matter of time. It's like, I couldn't have did that on my own. Like, it's no way that was just me, or I would be in the same place that I was in, if it was on me, so just keep going, put your faith in God, and just never give up. That's my message.
Well said.
Yes. Well, we appreciate y'all taking the time to share your story. We're, like I've said to Dad many a times, there's so many people on this earth, and everyone's story is so different and unique and so purposeful in the kingdom of God. And I just, some of the things that stuck out to me today was the first thing was kind of how you were feeling going into your Madden tournament. Just that peace that goes past understanding. Something that you mentioned you finished second a lot in your career, and just coming to a place where you kind of let go and you kind of say, I'm going to bring what I have to the table, and trust that you'll show up and provide in whatever way you desire, and just your testimony in experiencing that peace and resting in it. And then the fruits of that, obviously being successful in that moment. Another word that caught my attention, which God's just been hammering me with, I've been speaking with my track team. I've been in church. It was used today. And then you threw it out there, Clef, today, the word resilient. The importance of, you even talked about, or your dad talked about putting yourself in situations that are challenging you to help you grow. Being resilient is so important. We live in a world that wants to be comfortable, but growth happens when challenges come, and you just are able to bounce back from those and learn from the mistakes and stuff like that. And to me, I thought that was good truth that you provided. And then Snap just talking about being a father, and how you've sometimes you would try to teach him something, and sometimes he'd listen, and like all of us, we're all stubborn and sometimes won't listen, but being able to take your hands off and say, okay, learn your lesson, and then I'm right here waiting for you. I think that's a beautiful picture of the Father and how he interacts with each and every one of us. So I just appreciate y'all's story and what God's doing in y'all's life.
Well, as I said in our opening, and I think you just showed it again, Snap. I mean, I'm just so encouraged listening to you share your love for your son, your family, the game of football, and then seeing how that affects Clef, and Clef, you being able to catch that same joy is what I sense in both of your hearts. I see this, as I sit here and listen to you, I feel joy and encouragement just hearing the two of you talk, and the importance of a family relationship, a father-son relationship, and then wanting to be, who God has you in the situation you're in, whether it be a football coach, whether it be a Madden champion, and then just the impact that you have in your whole family and relationships. And here again, I'm Don visiting Warner. Friend Diallo's the head coach, and we never knew we'd meet each other or intend to meet each other. And here we are sitting there sharing life. And next thing you know, we get to experience your family and just the role that you've played in Clef's life and Clef's played in yours. So we're grateful. And as I encouraged you, Snap, when I left you, that smile is contagious. And I see it both in you and Clef. And just want to encourage the both of you to continue to be who God created you to be in the environment you're in. And the impact will be lifelong for sure in people's lives. So Austin, I just thank you for being a part of our podcast today and allowing us to share your story with our listeners. At Awaken Kingdom Culture, where hearts and minds come alive, one story at a time.